You're stuck between a pillow and a dream. That's a metaphor from a song called Misery by Michigander. But I think it makes a little bit more sense when you replace the dream with a locked door. Your life right now isn't bad, and you know it. I mean, you've got a roof over your head, you've got food to eat every single day. You've probably got a job that pays just enough for you to keep those things, and a few other soft pleasures, but it doesn't pay anywhere near enough to do the things you actually want to do in life. It keeps you comfortable enough to not want to move. But why is that? Especially when you know deep down inside you're meant for more. This is the pillow, also known as comfortability, or the safety net, you could say. In your head, you know the life that you want. You know you can go out and get it. In fact, you might have a plan in order to go and get it, but you put it into place and you don't move. You stay still because the door is locked. I mean, it's not bolted shut, it's just a key, and that key's on the floor, but it's mixed with a load of other keys. Yes, it's not a mammoth task, you could probably get down there and filter through them in an hour or so, but while you're doing that, people start talking. Well, why are you looking for the key? You have a perfectly good life here, you've got a pillow here, it's comfortable here, why would you want to move? What if you go through that door and it's not what you thought it would be? What, even worse, if you were to go through the door and you aren't the person you need to be to make the most of what's through it? The worst part is that it's not normally other people saying these things. It's you saying it to yourself. I would know, trust me. Now, a lot of fears make up this feeling, but the main one that people point to is the fear of change. I think that's slightly misleading though, because having gone through this situation myself recently and finally coming through the other side, I believe it takes a slightly different name that's a lot easier to digest and a hell of a lot easier to overcome. You see, change is very, very hard. It's one of those fundamental facts of life, and it's the main reason that most people never change at all in their life. How many people have you run into from your past that 5-10 years later haven't changed a single bit? They might have lost weight just to put it back on again about a couple months later, or maybe they quit a job just to go back to it again, or get into another job that is almost identical. New Year's resolutions are another fantastic example. 80% of people quit their New Year's resolutions by early February, and 23% of people quit them on the first week of January. True lasting change is almost impossible in every single circumstance to achieve. But some people do. Some people truly change for the better over the long term. So the question is, what makes them different to us? How can we do the same thing? Funnily enough, it isn't tied to anything external, like money, for example. People say, oh, I would lose weight, but I can't afford a gym membership right now, or I can't afford the time to go to the gym or care about my diet. People say, oh, I want a new job, but I'm too tired to look after my current job, or I don't have the qualifications to get a different job, yada, yada, yada. People say they want a relationship, or they want new relationships, or they want to leave a relationship, but it's not the right time to do that now. I don't have the time. Time is the most common excuse you will find, which is odd because, as I'm sure we all know, you could find the time to do anything you want to do, but you still don't do it. The real issue, the only thing that stops you, is fear. It's the only thing in the past and the present that has stopped anyone from doing anything. So what is the particular fear that we can knock on the head in order to make this lasting change? And people always point to change. Yes, we all fear change. We don't. Nobody fears change. What we fear is what comes with the change. And that is uncertainty. The dichotomy of the pillow and the locked door. Number one, what if what's on the other side of this door, this change that we want, isn't as good as the life we already have? And number two, the scary one for me in particular, what if when we get that change, we aren't the person we need to be in order to make the most of it? What if we mess it up? Now, there's two ways that I've used to overcome this fear of uncertainty. One you may have heard of before, and the other I'm pretty sure you haven't, but we need to understand them both, so you know for you where you need to start. And we'll start, of course, here with a very, very famous graph, Yerkes and Dodson's law. If the pillow is what's holding you back from changing in life, then change the pillow. Now, notice how I didn't say remove the pillow, because if you were to remove the pillow, you would end up on this side of the graph, which is, as you can see, just as bad as the other side of the graph. It's anxiety. For example, if you were to learn piano for the first time, and you started with Chopin's Nocturne Op. 2 in E major, you're gonna give up relatively quickly because that is very, very hard. However, if you were to just start with that one Chinese song that you play with the black notes, you're gonna get bored because you're not pushing yourself. You need to find an area in the graph where you're being pushed just enough out of your comfort zone to feel challenged, but not enough to leave you with debilitating anxiety. So how do you implement this in your life? How can you use it to change exactly what you want about yourself? Well, in my opinion, that's completely down to you, because only you know what makes your pillow comfortable. My pillow is comfortable for different reasons than yours, because we all have different problems. For example, if your problem is that you want a new job, what's making that pillow comfortable? Well, maybe it's the money you earn from the first job, or maybe it's the co-workers that you work with, you really like them, or maybe you really like your boss. I don't know, it could be a plethora of different things, but how do you tackle that problem? How do you make it more uncomfortable to be there? Well, you could ask for less hours so that you get less money, or maybe you could work different shifts with different people that you don't know in order to make it more uncomfortable to be there. Obviously, not everything works for everyone, and that's why you need to do this part yourself. Now, the second way to overcome uncertainty I got, well, put together from this book here. It's called Shift by Ethan Kross. Massive fan, I would highly recommend it. What I call this method, questioning the pillow. I'll use my personal example here, so get ready for some trauma dumping. I was recently offered a job that's relatively similar to the one that I do now. For reference, when I'm not sat behind my computer, I'm a chef. The difference is this place is much fancier, and it makes very, very good food. It's also in the Lake District, so I would get to move down there. For the first time moving out of my family house in 23 years almost, because I never went to uni. I would have new life experiences, I'd meet new people, I'd get to experience so much, get better at cooking. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds amazing. Small issue, I know I don't want to be a chef in my future. Believe it or not, since age 11, I've known exactly what I've wanted to do. And this is it. I want to help people through entertainment. I want to teach people that learning can be fun despite what the modern day education system looks like and what it does to kids. I want to spark people's curiosity. And the main way I would do that is, i.e. YouTube. Here, make long form videos. So when this job was offered to me and I saw this path that I could go down in life, I was obviously filled with a lot of fear. The fear of uncertainty. Very recently, I've quit an office job that took me about 5 years to get, making adverts and video editing, to come back to this part-time chefing job. Because I wanted to make this work, I cut my hours down, I made it uncomfortable for me to be in this job. Exactly what we've spoken about, and it has worked. However, nobody seems to tell you that the pillow can change. You can get comfortable again. Yes, this new job will give me new experience and let me meet new people, new inspiration for these videos. But the pillow still talks. Well, what if you go to this job and then you don't have time to make these videos? What if all this you've been building immediately goes down the drain? And it was beating me up for a while, until I realized that the pillow doesn't exactly always tell the truth. I started for the first time to question the pillow. Why is it so bad if I have less time while I'm over there? I mean, yes, less time means less time to be able to put into videos, but I know I will make a video still every week, regardless of how much time I spend working over there. Well, what if you get lonely? You're leaving all of your friends behind to move to this new place. Why is that a bad thing? If you get lonely, it forces you to be more social. It forces you to go outside more and do new things. So what's the issue? Why is it so bad if I get stressed from the extra responsibility? Surely that would change my character and turn me into someone who can handle more stressful situations. And the more questions I asked, the more I realised the pillow doesn't actually have any answers. The pillow isn't actually as comfortable as you think it is. Fear, quite literally, exists solely in your head. And it exists for the reason of keeping us safe. That's the reason we developed it. That's the reason cavemen were scared of predators. But we're not cavemen anymore. Most of our fears that we have nowadays aren't because we will die if we actually engage in these activities, but our brains still treat them that way. So anytime your pillow presents you with a fear, an uncertainty, try and, for a second, just really picture what the worst outcome physically possible is. Because most of the time, it's nowhere near as bad as you think it is. What's on the other side of that door? It's always worth finding out. Yes, the grass may not always be greener on the other side, but how will you ever know if you stay in the same garden for your entire life? If you enjoyed this video, there's another one waiting for you right here. Spark that curiosity. It's what this entire channel is all about. I've got to say, this kind of video is quite unnatural for me to be making, but it was quite fun. If not, then there's other videos on that channel there. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.